Greetings knitters, Hannah here from Bear's Den Essentials, coming to you today with a video that is long overdue. My apologies for the delay. We had a busy winter with both starting new jobs, getting married, and heading out on our honeymoon. It's great to be back, and I'm excited to share with you this tutorial on how to do a lace edging for the Spring Awakening Shawl. The pattern is available for free on our blog, which I've linked to in the caption below. It's also available on the Clover USA blog for free as well. I wanted to share with you this tutorial so that you can have a step-by-step set of directions on how to not only start the edging, but how to complete each row of the pattern. I know that I've also been long overdue in sharing a number of other tutorials with you, so I wanted to announce today and give you a sneak preview about the fact that I will be doing a knit-along in partnership with Cami from Ranching Tradition Fiber, whose yarn I used for the Bitterroot Sagebrush tank that I released last year. If you're not already a subscriber, make sure you head over to bearsdenessentials.com and sign up for our newsletter so you can stay tuned for when I will be getting started with the knit-along. I know that I reference a lot of the steps in this particular video tutorial, but what I will be doing with the knit-along is going much slower and into more detail with things like how to purl, how to read a chart, how to pick the right size that you decide to knit, how to do a swatch, and how to shape your garment. So if this feels a little fast and furious for you, just know that I will be doing a more in-depth tutorial series that will walk you through a number of steps that can seem intimidating at first, but are actually really straightforward. So make sure you sign up for our newsletter and stay tuned for a fun knit-along coming soon. So without further ado, here's a tutorial on the lace edging for the Spring Awakening Shawl. For the lace edging across the base of the shawl, you'll start by casting on 10 stitches with your size US 10.5 needles. I use the same 29-inch circular needles that I use to knit the body just to keep things simple, but you can actually use double pointed needles or shorter needles because those will work too. So the first row is actually done unattached to the body of the shawl. For the first join and all the joins after, you're going to want to position your shawl so that the wrong side is facing you, and you're going to want to have the widest part of the shawl closest to you. The shawl should now be upside down with the wrong side up. You'll be working the lace edging in a counterclockwise direction across the base of the shawl. So row 2 and all even rows are going to be your joining rows. So one row, your first row will just be knit according to the chart on its own, and then the even rows are the rows that you're going to be doing the attaching. So for every 2 rows, there'll be one join row. So it feels a little flimsy at first when you do the first few rows, but then as you get further and further along, that's where you get that really nice edge look to it. So knitting stitches according to a chart can be a little intimidating at first because there's different ways to read it and the stitches can look sort of unfamiliar and foreign. So what I'm including here is just stepwise directions for each stitch so that any knitter who's familiar with basic increases and decreases can actually follow along on the chart. I'm about halfway through my lacework edging, but as you'll see here, I'm starting with row 1. So if you follow along, this will take you through each row and each stitch of the entire chart. You'll repeat this chart approximately 20 times as you work across the shawl. So for row 1, you will knit 1, do a yarn over increase, knit 2 together, purl 1, do a yarn over increase, knit 1, do another yarn over increase, knit 3, you'll see me counting my stitches here to make sure I'm correct. So I've knit 1 and I have to knit 2 more stitches. And then for the last 2, I will knit 2 together. At the end of this row, I'll have 11 stitches. Next, we'll show you the first join row that you'll be doing. So you want to have the shawl's wrong side facing you, and this way you'll be doing the join at the very end of the row. So for row 2, you're going to be purling 8 stitches. And then you'll do a yarn over increase. And then you'll purl 2 together. And here's where we do the join. So you slip 1 stitch knitwise, so you see I moved the yarn to the back, and then you pick up a stitch from the edge and you knit it, just like you would a normal stitch, and you pass the slip stitch over that knitted stitch. That creates a really nice looking join. So then you flip it back to the right side and you'll be doing row 3. So here's how you can see that every 2 rows you'll have 1 join stitch for each of those 2 rows. So now that it's back facing you, you're going to knit 1, you're going to do a yarn over, and then you're going to knit 2 together. And then you'll purl 1, and then you'll do a knit 1 followed by a yarn over increase, another knit 1 followed by a yarn over increase, and then you'll knit 3, and then you'll knit 2 together, and you'll have 12 stitches remaining at the end of this row. Now you'll flip it back so the wrong side is facing you once again. And this might be where you want to have shorter needles than what I'm using, so it's a little bit less cumbersome. You'll also see me flipping my knitting back and forth on the right side and the wrong side. This, in my opinion, is the best way to manage both your shawl and the lacework edging that you're attaching. So for row 4, you're going to purl 9, and then you'll do a yarn over, here you have see me have a little trouble with that yarn over, and then you'll purl 2 together, and here's the join once again. So you'll slip 1 stitch knitwise, and then you'll pick up and knit 1 stitch from the shawl edge, and you'll pass the slip stitch over. So for row 5, you'll switch it back to the right side with the right side facing you. You'll knit 1, you'll do a yarn over increase, you'll knit 2 together for a decrease, you'll purl 1, you'll knit 2, you'll knit 2, you'll do a yarn over increase, you'll knit 1, you'll do another yarn over increase, and then you'll knit 3, and then you'll knit 2 together, And at the end of this row, you'll have 13 stitches. So next you'll flip it to the wrong side for row 6. So for row 6, you'll start by purling 10 stitches. Then you'll do a yarn over. So here's the yarn over, and then you'll purl 2 together. You'll slip 1 stitch knitwise, and then you'll pick up and knit 1 stitch from the shawl edge, and you'll pass the slip stitch over. You'll see that I'm grabbing every other row, a stitch. You'll see that I'm grabbing a stitch from every other row for the joins. That way I don't get that warped curling edge that can kind of make the lace work look funny. So for row 7, you'll knit 1, and then you do a yarn over, then you'll knit 2 together. You'll purl 1, you'll knit 3, you'll do a yarn over increase, and then knit 1, another yarn over increase, knit 3, and then you'll knit 2 together. So you should have 14 stitches at the end of this row. For row 8, you'll start by purling 11 stitches. Once you've purled 11 stitches, you'll do a yarn over, and then you'll purl 2 together. You'll slip 1 stitch knitwise, and then you'll pick up and knit 1 stitch from the shawl edge. You'll pass the slip stitch over, and you'll turn your work so that the right side is facing you once again. For row 9, you'll start by knitting 1, you'll do a yarn over, you'll knit 2 together, you'll purl 1, you'll knit 4, you'll do a yarn over, knit 1, another yarn over, and you'll knit 3, and then you'll knit 2 together, flip it back to the wrong side, and you'll start this row by purling 12 stitches. After you've purled 12 stitches, you'll do a yarn over, and then you'll purl 2 together. You'll slip 1 stitch knitwise, and you'll pick up and knit 1 stitch from the shawl edge. You can see that I'm being very careful not to split the yarn. It's a little tight at the base of the shawl at that corner, so I'm actually really trying to make sure I don't accidentally split the yarn when I pick up that shawl edge knit stitch. And then you'll pass that slip stitch over. Now we're at row 11. So you'll knit 1, you'll do a yarn over increase, you'll knit 2 together, you'll purl 1, and then you'll knit 9, and then the last 2 stitches you'll knit together. So knit 2 together, and you'll have 14 stitches remaining. So for row 12, it's going to look a little bit different. So you're going to start by binding off 4 stitches. Which is basically just like knitting 2 together, returning the stitch from the right needle back to the left needle, and knitting the next 2 together. So this is the third bind off. One more. And next you'll purl 6 stitches. Then you'll do a yarn over, and you'll purl 2 stitches together, and you'll do the join repeat by slipping 1 stitch knitwise and picking up and knitting 1 stitch from the shawl edge. So here's a really tricky part, because it's the very corner and the base of the triangle. So I still managed to find that edge and make sure I didn't split the yarn, and then I passed the slip stitch over. So I've actually done about 10 repeats of the pattern here. So I've gone from the bottom right corner with the wrong side facing me to the center of the base of the shawl. So if you'd like to keep watching, I do another full pattern repeat of the shawl showing you how I turn that corner if you'd like to watch. Otherwise, you are all good to go. You're going to work the pattern repeat flat in a counterclockwise direction all the way across the base of the shawl. And like I said, it'll be about 20 repeats total, but if you happen to end the border in the middle of a pattern repeat, it's not to worry. The design is meant to be textured and multidimensional, so it's going to look beautiful regardless, and you can end whenever it makes the most sense for you. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching along. If you have any questions, you can always email me at bearsdenessentials@gmail.com. And like I said, if you haven't already subscribed to our newsletter, make sure to sign up, because I also include frequent discounts not only on patterns, but also on some of the knits that we produce for organizations and companies and sell on our website. So sign up. And I will be back soon with a full tutorial series for the Bitterroot Sagebrush Tank pattern. Thanks, knitters. Bye, y'all.